Let's see how Hans Sachs manages finally to guide the madness so as to perform a nobler work even here in Nuremberg.
I hear you asking about the master of the Mastersingers of Nuremberg, that man who was considered a phenomenon of energy and talent. Well, I, Hans Sachs, whose statue stands directly behind you, would like to show him to you as somebody who was complex, restless, and ruthless, to others and to himself. Richard Wagner spoke incredibly fast in the monotonous sing-song dialect of Saxony. He spoke continuously and always about himself, about his works, his reforms, his plans. He was selfishness personified. He had a strange knack of marrying well and beguiling other married women, such as Mathilde Wesendonck, Jessie Lussault, Julie Ritter, Elise Willer, and of course Cosima Bülow. Their husbands didn't cut a good figure, and one even declared his intention to shoot Wagner, although fortunately he never got any further than that. Wagner divorced his wife Minna, who had stood by him faithfully in his darkest years, and pinched the wife of his friend Hans von Bülow, one of the most loyal champions of his music. In addition to his wives, our jack-of-all-trades had other faithful helpers and admirers. For example, in May 1864, King Louis II of Bavaria wrote a letter to Richard Wagner, in which he declared, "Rest assured, I will do everything in my power to compensate you for your past suffering." The king became his greatest patron and supporter. After his audience with Louis II, Wagner wrote, "He loves me with the warmth and glow of first love. All my hardship is to be removed. Can this be anything but a dream? Light of my life, my only friend. Oh, my king, you are divine. Oh, Holy One, how I adore thee. The ultimate, supreme, most beautiful one of my life, my only one, my beloved. My beloved, my angelic friend. Only for you, radiant sweetheart, did I come into this world. My inspiration, my loving providence. Sun of my life, source of my salvation. That Wagner, goodness me. Wagner believed himself to be a victim of an alleged Jewish conspiracy. In 1850, he published the essay Judaism in Music. In it, he put forward the opinion that the Jew is innately incapable of announcing himself to his artistic through either his outward appearance or his speech. The cultured Jew, just think of Meyerbeer, think of Levi or Mendelssohn. The cultured Jew has gone to enormous lengths to shake off all the obvious characteristics of his base fellow believers. This has made him the most heartless of all human beings. Later on, Wagner confided in the director and actor Philipp Edward de Vriend as follows. And just imagine, Mr. de Vriend, you know Siegfried, that German hero who fought for the magic cup of invisibility and the legendary sword and had adventures with them. I'll write you an entire opera. Oh, stuff and nonsense. I'll make at least 4 operas out of it. That could take quite a while. Your version of the Siegfried saga shows much talent, but you always take things too far and shove in your modern views. Listen, my idea's totally new. I'll depict all the Germanic gods, show how it all began with Rheingold, everyone who tried to get hold of that treasure. In fact, I could do with a piece myself. Yeah, but surely you do quite well for yourself as royal conductor, don't you?
Do you have any idea of how much I have to repay in the way of debts dating back to my time in Paris, where I hardly earned a penny? But this Siegfried, he'll do the trick. I think he'll be a real money spinner. Money's the root of all evil. Property must be destroyed. We need a revolution. Afterwards, my friend Gottfried Zemper will build a large opera house where my new works will be performed. That's bound to be a source of plentiful royalties for me. I'll be the artistic director.
You might just have a little too much of the wild self-confidence of today's radicals.
De Vriend, just you wait and see.
He has wild ideas about socialism. And now it's time for him to mount his hobby horse, the destruction of capital. He's a dreamer, and his democratic principles drive him to all sorts of nonsense. Your debts, Mr. Wagner, your debts!
To Mr. Maser's court music shop. 700 thalers.
2,400 thalers to a creditor who doesn't wish to be named.
From Madame Publishers, 800 thalers.
Outstanding amount to a very old business dealer in Paris. 200 thalers. The lawyer Albert Kuhl. The local employee who doesn't wish to be named. 300 thalers. Your debts, Mr. Wagner, your debts! In today's money, Wagner had debts of about €500,000. He'd have had to work for nothing at the royal court until the end of his days in order to pay it off. That's one reason why the revolution in 1848 and 1849 came at just the right time for him. There was something of the pyromaniac about Wagner throughout his life. Whether advising Bismarck in the war against France to burn Paris to the ground, or the Russian Tsar to set fire to all four corners of St. Petersburg. He found the prospect of conflagration most appealing. Never ask Wagner whether he knows how the opera house designed by Matthias Perpelmann suddenly went up in flames during the May uprising in Dresden in 1849. Revolutionaries like fellow conductor August Röckel and Russian anarchist Mikhail Bakunin gathered in Wagner's apartment. Wagner held inflammatory speeches there and stockpiled homemade grenades, which nowadays we'd call Molotov cocktails. Using rousing language, Wagner called for world revolution to turn society upside down. At a crucial hour when the revolutionaries in Dresden decided to burn down the opera house in order to save the barricades, Wagner was very nearby. He may not have wielded the torch himself, but even so, he was a fierce pyromaniac in words and music. Inspired by that other great pyromaniac Bakunin, Wagner wanted to purge mankind with fire. But with society refusing to be purged, Wagner had to leave Dresden forever and go into exile. Wagner, an unscrupulous sponger, an armchair revolutionary, an unspeakably immodest man, full of nothing but himself, incessantly monologizing and boasting, spouting propaganda and lecturing the world about everything. To quote writer Thomas Mann, eventually ended up in Franconia, where he had his own opera house built, the Festspielhaus. I, shoemaker and poet, stand here on the square named after me, and, well, I go along with my friend de Vriend. The chap's a poet through and through. He's the most outstanding brain I know. He leaves a tremendous body of work that's confusingly complex, mysterious, and that constantly inspires new interpretations. Bravo!